This video is brought to you by Adorama.com.
Hello and welcome. I have to thank all of you for this video because you all voted for this scope, along with two others, to be sent in by Adorama.com for review. I'm going to start things off with this Leupold VX Freedom 4-12 by 40 1-inch Tri-MOA reticle. Just like with our last VX Freedom that I reviewed from Adorama.com, the box is very simple, plain, and to the point. And I really like the fact that designed, machined, and assembled in the USA. Now that might leave some to be desired as far as 100% made in the USA, but at least it's nice to see that a lot of the stuff is being done here. Under the lid, we get the exact same sort of foam that we had with the VX Freedom 1.5-4, and I quite like this. It's an inexpensive, efficient way of securing a scope inside of a box. As you can see, there's no movement that can be allowed to this scope, both front, back, side, up, and down. And it comes out of the box pretty easily, all things considered. Got a nice sticker, and then of course the owner's manual. This will give you a lot of nice generalized information about the scope, but nothing about this scope in particular. Let's take a look at the scope itself. This has basically all the exact same features as the 1.5-4 that I reviewed, with the exception of the fact that magnification is 4-12. That and the fact that the bell on this is 40mm, not 24. It also has all the same great features of that scope. Lock and ocular adjustment, a very short, quick, and smooth magnification ring. Of course, that nice little built-in throw lever, which honestly is all you're going to need on this scope. It's identical all the way to the turrets as well. As you can hear, or struggle to hear, there isn't a very audible click with this turret. However, it does click into place pretty well, and once it's there, it's not going to go anywhere. There is some visible play side to side before it engages the next click, and it's okay, but primarily because of the reticle that's in it. Same thing can be said for the windage turret. It has the exact same sort of click without having the audible click. These turrets are a little disappointing, especially when you factor in that there's no real indication, clear dot of where you can index this from. And that was my same complaint with the 1.5-4. They're just good enough for what this scope is. Budget-minded scope. This being the Tri-MOA reticle version, it's going to be a little bit more than a plain duplex version. And you know what? Speaking of the reticle, let's take a look at it. One thing you have to take into consideration with this scope is that it's a fixed parallax. The parallax, I believe, is set to about 100 yards, which is pretty typical for a non-adjustable parallax scope. What does that mean for you? Well, if you're shooting this inside of 100 yards, you're going to have to make sure that you're perfectly lined up behind it, so this way everything lines up through the scope properly. Anyway, the glass on this is, just like with the 1.5-4, exceptionally good. You have very little scope shadow at 4x, and even up to 12x, it is excellent. It does get a little bit dark at 12x, but this being a 1-inch main body tube, that's to be expected. In my findings with all the scopes that I've reviewed so far, or had the pleasure of looking through, a 1-inch main tube maxes out at about 10x before it starts to lose any sort of brightness. The reticle I really like. It's very simple and has holdover locations for basically any sort of low development that you might have at it at some sort of distance that you might be shooting in. This being a second focal plane scope, more than likely your maximum magnification is going to be where the holds are calibrated to. Keep that in mind. My thoughts on this glass are so far so great, just like how I felt with the 1.5-4. And I'm curious to see when I really get behind it and start playing around with it, if it'll have the same flaw as the VXR I reviewed a couple weeks ago was, which at 4-12, it would change the eye relief. So if you're looking through it perfectly at 4, when you shifted it to 12, the eye relief would change and thus you wouldn't be able to see through it properly. That also had a 40mm objective, but it had a 30mm main tube, not a 1-inch main tube. So I'm going to be curious to see how this stacks up against that, especially considering how much less expensive this is. A huge thank you to you, my viewers, for voting on this scope for review. And a huge thank you again to Adorama for providing this for review. Thank you very much for watching. See you again next time.